So you may have already seen my other reformer video, just walking through some of the exercises that I suggest post knee replacement, but I did have some requests for a follow along video. So if you have a reformer at home and you've been cleared by your healthcare provider to use it, you may find this video helpful. Of course, you're going to be mindful of any pain. We don't want anything that is going to cause, pain that's out of the ordinary when it comes to your knee rehab, and that's a good conversation to have with your physio. We know that total knee replacements are painful to work through as we get that bend and that straightening, hopefully not too much, but again, that's a conversation to have with your healthcare provider in regards to how much you should be allowed to push. Okay, so for this video, I've got a leg warmer on my operative leg, just so you have a stronger idea or a better idea of which leg goes where when we start to get into the asymmetrical exercises. I'm using a mirror through reformer, so I want to make sure that I've got my stopper and my gear bar appropriately set up. If you're having a lot of difficulty with your bend, you're going to want to set up your stopper as far away from the foot bar as possible, right? So there are 6 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for the stopper to sit in. If my knee is really stiff, I'm going to take my stopper out and I'm going to put it into the very last hole, so I have as much room as possible between my head and the bar, so I don't have to bend my knee quite so much. To correspond with that stopper placement, I'm going to take my gear bar and move it all the way out to the 3rd position, or the very closest position here. If you have a different model of reformer, you're going to want to, again, make sure you've got as much room as possible between the carriage and the foot bar, or the head and the foot bar, just to start off with as you warm up. Okay, so before we do any kind of movement, I always like to start off with a little bit of a flush through the knee, because as we sleep or as we stay in one position, as we're recovering, there can be a lot of fluids and bruising that kind of pools around the knee area. If this is you, I also have another video about how to use kinesiology tape to help ease that swelling. And I strongly recommend either doing it yourself or finding a healthcare provider that can do that for you, because it can really expedite, the reduction in swelling in the operative area, especially if it's draining down into your calf and your ankle. It gets really uncomfortable. Even though you didn't have surgery on your ankle or down here, it can get quite affected by all of that extra fluid. Okay, so as I said before, we're going to start off with just like some really gentle hamstring massage, opening up the lymph nodes if we can in that area. We're not going to do a full lymphatic massage because that requires a lot more of the rest of the body, but as much as we can, we want to try and move all of that swelling into the drainage system so the body can take all of that away. So, you would be on bare skin and with a little bit of cream. I'm not going to take off my leggings, but you get the idea. You're just going to be flushing in nice big circles, try and get that bruising gone as quick as you can so that the knee can start to move again. If it's feeling really tender, then just go slow, right? Don't do too much. You want to make sure that you're not really torturing yourself. As your healthcare provider may have told you already, before you do your exercises, you may wish to take a pain medication, or some form of pain medication if you've been prescribed that about half an hour before. And of course, that decision is up to you, or it's between you and your healthcare provider. So if you normally take a Tylenol before your physio exercises, you might want to do that before you do your reformer work as well. Okay, so making sure we're working all the way around the calf and the hamstring, just trying to keep things a little bit more limber. You can also work through the inner thigh, right? So this can get very, very tight when we're talking about anyone that has lived with arthritis for a little while. This inner thigh can be a little bit problematic, so you're going to want to massage through that area as well, because sometimes the bruising can accumulate here also if you've been lying down for a long period. Okay, so once you've done that and we've got our reformer set up, we're going to bring that foot bar up here, and you can lie down onto your back. If you're having trouble lying on your back, you can use a smaller therapy ball that's somewhat deflated. I use this for my pregnant clients or anyone that can't really sit back. And you're going to pop this down a little bit just to create more space, right? So sitting back, you can have a little bit more room. It's a little bit more comfortable, right? And from here, seeing if you can do your exercises this way, it may be easier for you. I'm hitting the platform here, so I might have to move my foot, right? So we're going to start off on our backs or with the ball, and we're going to do this calf raise. You can do one side at a time, or you can do both sides together, whatever is more comfortable. You may find it more targeted just to do one side, and that's perfectly fine, right? So again, if you want to be on your back, you're more than welcome to be on your back, but with all of the position changes that we'll be doing, you might just want to stay upright. If you don't have a ball, that's also fine, right? So we're going to pop that leg forward a little bit to lie down. Okay, and it doesn't have to be right on the bar because I know that bending the knee can be quite uncomfortable. So you're going to ask me, Ellen, how many springs do you recommend? Well, that depends. So if you feel like you're doing pretty well, you might want to have 2 or 3 heavy springs. If you're still feeling like it's quite uncomfortable, I only have 1 spring here, 1 red spring, 1 heavy spring. So, everyone is different. Everyone is at a different point in recovery. Everyone's surgery was different. Everybody's knee was in a different state before surgery, right? So we're not going to do a huge amount of weight because that's not really the goal right now. The goal of this exercise is just to get the blood pumping, and we don't want to create too much tension through the back of the leg. If you can tolerate more weight, by all means, you can increase, as I said, to 2 heavy springs or 2 red springs, or even, 2 red springs and 1 medium or 1 blue spring, or even 3 red springs. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so after we've done that, we're going to do some really gentle bending and pressing just to warm up the knee. So again, it's a light weight. I'm not doing a lot. We're not trying to force the knee into a bend right now, right? So it's just a gentle folding of the knee and then pressing out again. If the stopper is hitting and you feel like you could go more, then please go ahead and adjust your stopper so that it's closer to the foot bar. That way you'll get a deeper bend in the knee. But assuming that your knee bend is still a little bit stiff, we're going to start off, like I said, with that stopper way out, because we don't want to cause undue pain or unnecessary pain, right? So gently coming in and pressing away, turning on the quads here, right? So how straight can you go with these knees, right? Where is your weight right now? Is all your weight in your unaffected leg, or are you actually able to get, equal weight into the affected side here? Okay. So once you've got this movement down and you feel a lot more comfortable, you may want to try going into one leg only. So from here, you can bring the good leg up and press with the one leg. So now there's all the pressure of that 1 red spring or that 1 heavy spring going into my operative leg here. All right, so nice big inhale, exhale to press away. And then making sure that your knee is feeling like it's able to lengthen in the front, because sometimes that quad or those stitches can be very uncomfortable if you still have stitches or staples. And so after your staples come out, usually this will get a little bit easier. But in the meantime, if you do have some kind of stitches in place, try to relax your quad here by envisioning your kneecap going down your shin, right? I know it sounds a bit weird, but we're going to make sure that we're, eliminating as much pull from that quad as possible. Okay, so let's bring that other foot back down, and we're going to get our straps now. Okay, so if you're like me and you have these straps handy, I'll see if I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, nope, that's not it. There it is. Okay, so finding your strap, right? This might be the tricky part. You might need help with this one, right? We're going to put all the weight into the good leg and see if you can get this onto your operative leg. And you might need someone to help you with this. Okay, so from here, we're going to think of allowing that leg to stay straight and stretch the back of the hamstring. Okay, so for anyone that has tight hamstrings or for anyone that has difficulty with that straightening, this one's for you. We're going to try and allow that hamstring to relax in this position, because it's a lot easier to do it on your back than it is to do it sitting up and kind of pushing your knee down. So this is one reason why I really love the reformer. I forgot to mention, if you were sitting with the ball, then obviously you'll have to remove the ball before you lie down and put the strap on. So big stretch here. You may wish to hang out here, count for like 5 or 10 seconds to relax, and then press back out again. So this leg that's down, it's just to guide the carriage. Really, we want this leg to be the one that's actively pressing as we lengthen away here. Okay, so relax the hamstring to let it stretch, and then turn on the hamstring and the glute to reach it away. Okay, and so this may be uncomfortable the first few times, and I appreciate that. If you need to have the knee bent, that's perfectly fine as well, right? Or maybe you start with the knee a little bit bent, and then as you go on, it gets a little straighter. That's totally fine. You may also have to have that foot bar up a little bit. You might need to have some help adjusting the position of the foot bar as you go. Okay, so from here, we're going to allow this leg to drift out sideways to get a little bit of an inner thigh stretch. So I'm just going to move this foot so it's in a better position here, right? And we're going to allow the inner thigh just to stretch out. If you feel like you're going to fall over, you can definitely hold on to the carriage if that helps. It'll keep you a little bit more stable, right? And bring the leg back in. You can hold here, or if your shoulders are not cooperating, you can hold down here. That's perfectly okay. Right, so we're going to stretch the leg out to the side, right? If you want to let that leg down, if that's easier for you, you're more than welcome to do that. But it also, when the leg is down, it does put quite a lot of stretch on that hamstring and the inner thigh. So maybe you're only going out this far, and that's perfectly okay, right? We're just trying to encourage that length in the inner thigh. So after we've done the inner thigh stretch, we're going to try some marching. And so this one is a harder exercise to do. We're going to bring that knee in, and then this knee is going to come up to sort of do this bicycle march, right? So we're stretching the legs straight, and then we're bending. So depends on how much bend you've got in your knee right now. You're just going to bring it in as far as you can. Maybe you hold it there, try and stretch that knee into that bend, and then reach it long. With the other leg, if you're having a really hard time, just leave it in this tabletop position or this floppy tabletop. It can stay here, that's perfectly okay. So again, letting that knee come in as far as you can. Maybe it's only there. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's here, right? But you just take your time, you respect your body where it's at, right? And we just try your best to work on that bend. I know, as I said before, knee replacement surgery or rehab is not fun. It is not comfortable. But it is important that you do your exercises, right? So kudos to you for being here. Kudos to you for following through and using your reformer. We're going to do one more here. Big bend. And then press it away long. Okay, so take your good leg. You're going to put it back onto the bar. We'll take the foot out of the strap. Again, if you need help, please ask for help. I want everyone to be safe. And then you're going to come and you're going to sit up. So now that we're back up, we're going to finish off with some stretching. Okay, we're going to try and work on straightening if that's something that you need, and or the bending if that's something that you need. Okay, as I said, everybody is different. Everybody needs different things with their rehab. So to set up your reformer, I'm going to bring my stopper into the third position. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put it right there. Again, you might need a different setting, right? Or your reformer may not have the same settings as mine, but what we're trying to do is do a knee straightening stretch. I'm going to bring my bar to the middle. So the second slot or the middle slot, and I'm going to keep my bar just one down from the top and engage one heavy spring, one red spring, and one blue spring, one medium spring. So a blue and a red, or a medium and a heavy. Okay, so we're doing this extension or this straightening stretch. I've got one leg up here if that's something that you can do. If you have a lot of difficulty in your hamstrings, then by all means use the platform extender, and you can place that under your bum. So I'm going to grab mine now. It's over here. So it's this one, if you've got it here. Okay, if you don't have something like this, if you have like a sturdy book or something that you can elevate, or a cushion, like a nice safe firm cushion, that's also fine. But I've got one leg up on the carriage. If that's not manageable for your hip, see if you can scoot yourself over to the one side here. So I've got it actually down on the floor, and you're gonna put your leg up here. So essentially we're doing as I said, like a straightening stretch for that hamstring. Okay, so we're gonna push, right? And see if we can get that knee as straight as possible. And we're gonna hold it here. We're gonna count if we can. The idea, if you can, is to count for 30 seconds to start, and then lengthen it from there. Okay, so I know this is uncomfortable for a lot of people. Just try your best, whatever you can manage. And then over time, hopefully you'll be able to get a little bit more, right? So we're gonna come in for a little break here, and then press out again. We're gonna count to 30, okay? So I'm gonna imagine there's 30 seconds going by as I chat. This foot here, we're gonna make sure that I'm kind of on the front or the ball of my foot, and we're gonna see if we can allow that heel to drop, if that's something that you can do. And we're gonna use I'm gonna use my hands to just gently press down as well. If this is too much of a gap, if you're like, Ellen, this is so uncomfortable, I cannot tolerate this, get a big fluffy towel and put it underneath. Okay, so if I was here, let me just grab my yoga block and my towel here. If I had a big giant bath towel and I put it make it into this nice big roll, it can be easier to kind of press into some support than pressing into nothing, into empty space, right? So obviously this isn't going anywhere because the yoga block doesn't compress. But the idea is that giving the body, something to go into can help that resistance, that sort of hesitancy of the body to go into a straighter position, if that makes sense. Okay, so once you're there, maybe a little calf stretch. That was more than 30 seconds. Let's see if we can do one more, right? So pressing down, using a nice big fat towel if you have to, just to press down and straighten the knee. I know it's not comfortable, but it will get easier as you go. Every week gets better. And then hopefully one day, you won't even notice your knee anymore until maybe you go through the airport security. And so if you need to do some bending, we're going to do that now with a scooter or a scooter one stretch, if you know what that is. Okay, so back to, let's just put this here. Adjusting our stopper and the gear bar. Forgive me, I know it may take you longer to scoot around the reformer, but we're going to take the stopper, we're going to put it all the way back to the front position here. And we're going to take the gear bar and we're going to also put that to the front position here and put one heavy spring or one red spring on. The foot bar is going to come all the way to the top. Right there. And I'm going to get rid of this from the carriage. If your reformer is tall like mine, you might still need this. Sorry. If your reformer is tall like mine and you're not so tall of a person like me, you may want to put this on the floor. That's an option only if you want to get a deeper bend in your knee. If you're just starting out, you probably don't need that. Or if your reformer is a lower height, you probably don't need that. Okay, so again, I've got my operative leg out here. I've got my knee down on the carriage, and we're going to press back. I'm going to try and bend into that knee, right? So you can see I'm only getting so far. It's not that far, right? So if I feel like I want to go into a bigger bend, as I said, you have two choices. You can use the platform extender, or you can move the foot further back. So if I go here, then I can get a bigger bend here. And my heel is lifting. That's okay. But I have the hand support of the reformer, the foot bar here. You may have to lighten your weight, right? You may get to a point where, you only need one medium and one light spring, in which case it's there's a lot less resistance to press out and get that bend, right? So you're sitting your butt right back, okay? Or as I said, you can use the platform extender if you've got one, or a thick book that's, not going to slide around on you. You can get a nice bend here too. And I find this a lot easier than using, doing those bed exercises where you're just yanking the heel towards your bum when you're lying on your back. Being upright can make this a lot easier to achieve, right? So we're sending that leg back and then coming forward again. Okay. So again, that was just a very rudimentary look at some early knee exercises for a knee replacement. Of course, we're going to want to continue to strengthen around the entire hip complex as well, and then also build in some balance. So I'll be making another video for anyone that is sort of beyond that 6-week mark to continue in their rehab journey.